Lions, tigers and bears, oh my. This is an early summer fall garden update. It could be a long one, but it might be cut short because I'm on my temporary battery. My big one needed charging. This camera apparently can get surgically removed from my hand, but at the moment it's glued on. So a full garden update, we always start in this corner. This will incorporate what's happened with the bonsai, by the way, although that is a separate video. And the blackbird's getting annoyed with my presence. I'm not going to upset your babies, just give it a rest. Right, this bush has pushed on a lot. I don't know what it's called. I do, but it slips my mind. But it has lovely pink blossom before the leaves come out, so February time. And this year I'm letting it grow. I will be reducing the offshoots that are coming out near the base because they get in the way of other things. But the top, let's get a lot of growth on here this year. The consequences will be a good mass of blooms, providing the frost doesn't cut it off like it did this year. Never mind. The few little ferns that I put in here seem to have taken okay. That fern I didn't plant, that fern I didn't plant, those ferns I did. There's a few seedling hellebores that have been moved around. Coming along here, the violets have started to clump up. They should form a complete line along there. And what you can't see, but they will certainly come into their own in the autumn, are these. These are miniature hardy cyclamen. There's some more in there as well. They will push their flowers up before their leaves. So come the autumn, early winter, we will have lovely cyclamen flowers. Ouch! Well, getting down there's okay, it's getting up again. Oh, my knees are shot. It's annoying because I don't do football. I haven't done rugby since school days, so why are my knees in a mess? It's not like I run up and down the stairs all day. Anyway, coming along here, this stuff, which is some sort of campanula, is starting to go a bit mad. I'm happy with that because it's going to bloom soon. You can see these little shoots here. It's got flower buds on, so those are going to bloom soon. My ferns are coming up all over the place. If we don't get rain, I shall have to water soon. I've just realised this topsoil is quite dry here. This is a gorgeous fern. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm not sure I planted that. I did, however, plant this one. This one's looking nice. Can do without the dead bits of something. Another fern down here looking nice. The primroses in a lot of cases have turned out to be primulas. They came from Carol and they're a mix. Some of them are actual genuine UK native primroses that you would find in the wild, in the forest edges and places like that. But some of them are primulas, which is a different thing. They are hybrids of one and the same. We've got things coming up that until they bloom I'm not quite sure what they are. Up the back there is a foxglove that in the last 2 weeks has suddenly taken off. That one came from Carol, so that's a survivor from last year. The elephant's ears have done better this year. They will push on. What this is I don't know, but it's heading towards blooming in the not too distant future. Another nice fern there. The fern from Helen, the really large fern, that's pushing on nicely now, so that's obviously established some roots. What that is I don't know, but I think it might be the salvia that I planted last year, the lovely purple salvia, because of the sticks that have been left behind, but not sure. I'm happy to wait and see what blooms appear, and when the blooms appear I know what it is. You see what I mean? There's another foxglove in there pushing on. Lovely fern. I love that fern. Gorgeous. Where are we? Another nice fern here. You can tell I like ferns, can't you? And I do. I've always liked ferns. This is the rose campion, and that is not. I didn't realise when I got that from Helen that's actually, it's classed as a short-lived perennial. What that really means in reality is a biennial. Biennial? One of those. It self-seeds readily, and the seedlings grow on in year one, after it blooms obviously, and then they retain their leaves through the winter, and the second year they bloom, which generates the seeds, which then self-seed and perpetuate the ongoing sort of saga. But the main plant dies back after a couple of years, so you're reliant on the seedlings. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to get blooms on that this year. It remains to be seen. Right, and moving out round the bonsai on my new bonsai staging, which I'm pleased with. I'm also pleased with my little bonsai azalea. These are Satsuki azaleas. They're a specific species of rhododendron, evergreen, and very good for bonsai. Pronounced Satsuki by some people. It's spelt Satsuki, but some people call it Satsuki. And if you look historically back, both are good, if you see what I mean. It's not one's right and one's wrong, they're both right. Depends on the part of Japan, I suspect, that you come from. I'm standing back here because apparently I have some of the largest aquiledias that anybody has ever seen, and I think I might agree. Several houses that I've lived in, I've had aquiledias, and I've never seen one grow that tall before. Maybe Mojo had something to do with that. You work that out for yourself, I'm not elaborating. The London Pride is looking good here. That came from Helen. You have to appreciate that virtually everything in this planted border was gifted. This was viewers donating plants to help the channel grow, and it's greatly appreciated. It really is. There would be virtually nothing in here if it was down to me. I can't go out spending lots of money on plants. I haven't got the spare money, so this is greatly appreciated. The wisteria, which is never going to be allowed to extend beyond about 3 inches from the top of that. Oh, we've got a butterfly. About 3 inches from the top of that fence. When I moved in here, that wisteria took over that hedge and took over the tree that was in the corner of the garden. You'll have to look back on the videos if you want to see the saga of the tree. There was a massive conifer in the corner of the garden, which is now a great gaping hole, and it died basically, so a tree surgeon came and took it all down. There's a video, there's a man hanging out the side of the tree with a big chainsaw, but it's gone now, so it's changed the garden completely. There's so much more light. Anyway, coming along here, so aquiledias all over the place, and geraniums coming up. These will be in flower soon. You can see the buds. That needs some water or that's going to die. It's funny, when plants are new it's difficult to keep them going, it really is. But I need water in here, I can see it now. Now there are plants in here that are either Michaelmas daisies or phlox, and I'm not sure which is which, but I think this is the phlox and that therefore must be the Michaelmas daisies. You can see the difference. There's also a primula there that came from Helen. I can't remember the name, but it has lovely pink flowers if it blooms. It hasn't yet. God, I really need to get some water on this bed. So coming along here, this geranium is coming into flower, and these are gorgeous. They're so delicate. And yet more aquiledias. This is a fuchsia that will grow over 1 metre tall and come into bloom later in the year. And then up in this corner we've got some phlox, dwarf phlox, some more London Pride. We've still got some primroses with flowers on, if they are primroses. And then we've got this campanula, which is pushing up the extensions now. So this is going to be in bloom soon. And then in this corner we have foxgloves. These are hybrid foxgloves, not our natives. That down there is a native foxglove that came from Helen in her woodland, so that is a genuine native one. These, however, are hybrids that I got earlier, and they're in bloom now. And these are strange. This one was tangled up in the hedge, but I managed to pull it out. Gorgeous colours, and the bees love it. And in the same pot, bearing in mind these were bought in pots and planted, in the same pot is this gorgeous cream colour. Cream or light green or pale yellow, you choose. And then there's another one up there that looks more like our native one, and a paler version there. So that's what is endearingly known as the planted border, that had virtually nothing in it but weeds when I first moved in. And it's coming on nicely now, filling out. Oh, and we missed the rose. The first rose to come out. Gorgeous. Plenty more to come. That will be 1.5 meters tall by the end of the year and should bloom continuously. So that's that bit. And then coming over here, we have a tub full of herbs basically. So this is chives. I don't chop them up and eat them because the bees like the blooms. And the rest of this is 3 different types of marjoram. Now you're in for a treat, because I didn't know I had this. Down here is a pot that has a herb in it, and that's how it was bought. And it's basically oregano. Origanum vulgara. So oregano basically, or oregano as we say in England. And that's as it was bought, as a herb. But look what's in it. This is a plant that I used to have lots of at the previous house. Not the previous house I've just been in, the one that I owned many years ago. And this is a pond edging plant. And it's a mimulus, either mimulus or mimula. And it's hijacked a ride in here. I'm not sure it's going to do very well because it's a pond edging plant. So it ought to have its feet in very, very damp conditions, if not wet. But it's bloomed. Now the one I had around my wildlife pond up at the other house had red markings on it. But as soon as I saw the leaves in that pot, I recognised it straight away. Good stuff. Right. Now here and here yesterday were 2 rats. I can't stop the rats in the garden. It's not possible. I live on the edge of the countryside, so rats are around. In this garden they don't really do any harm, quite honestly. I'd rather they weren't here, but what can I do? In this mass of holly, not holly, ivy, could sing a song, Holly and the Ivy, the geranium is coming up through. This grows out through the ivy. I didn't even know it was there when I first moved in, and it has the most gorgeous flowers on. We will see them soon. The rose, which loses its leaves in winter, is putting on a lot of growth. And this is much stronger growth than I've had in previous years. Yeah? And we have a mass of buds. This will be in bloom soon. That's good stuff. And here we have the alder, I think, and the oak that get pruned as bushes because I don't want them turning into trees. The Acer is now sitting behind this staging, this is for my Cymbidium orchids. When I get round to it, I've got to put little feet on the end of the legs and then screw some wheels on it so that it can be moved around, and the Cymbidiums can be moved to get a bit of morning sun or evening sun and then be moved out of the midday sun. They'll be able to be moved around. So this is a bit blocked off at the moment, but this is a gorgeous tree. It's in a pot, buried in there somewhere. Right, what else have we got then? Coming round here. Up in this corner we have Mojo's brother Elvis. He lives there. We've got primroses or primulas. We've got a mass of dead blooms of the camellia, which is still blooming. This has had so many blooms this year. Well, you can see the stack of the ones that have fallen off. Ridiculous. But coming along here, we've got some ground cover, which I've forgotten what it's called, but it will bloom. And then some primroses, primulas in that case, because it's almost white, and some violets. Yeah, so that's what goes on up in this corner. This is endearingly known as spiky bush. Not Cotoneaster, Pyracantha, firethorn. It's in bloom at the moment. It is very scented, and it will produce a mass of red berries from these blooms, which the birds absolutely love. Buried in under the hedge here, the laurel hedge, which is becoming a hedge now. More geraniums, and just coming into bloom now, so they're looking good. And again, some more campanula with spikes extending, so there'll be some blooms on there soon. Coming out here, we've got, brain's gone, blue things. I'll get there in a minute. And some various bits of ground cover that were either bought by me or provided by Carol. Do you know that's completely gone? It'll come in a minute. The buddleia here is growing well, very well. We are looking at extensive new amounts of growth. Are there any blooms showing? Oh, they're hell. They will come soon, I hope. Although this is a midsummer into late summer bloomer. Two different types in here. There's a deep purple one and a pinky one that looks more like the wild one that we get all around the countryside. Shouldn't be here really. It's brought in from elsewhere and gone wild. We get a bit of that in this country. One of my individual bonsai staging here. The laurel is pushing up to the point where it needs a trim. So again, we keep this flat and let it go sideways. The idea being we don't look at the fence, we look at green. But I don't want it getting so high that it gets out of sight. And I suppose we'd better zoom in and have a quick look at the wisteria that's actually in bloom. Gorgeous blooms. I hope that's in focus, because I can't see what the hell I'm doing in this bright sunshine. That's the trouble with video cameras. You can't see what the hell you're doing when the light's bright. And then up in this corner we've got some more geraniums out here. We've got this bush, and we've never established what it is. But a long time ago at my parents' place we had mock orange growing either side of the gateway. And this really does look like that. But until it blooms, or if it blooms, we don't know. So that's sort of on hold. Bamboo looks a right tatty mess at the moment, but that avoided that of a hack. You look at the thickness of some of the canes in there. So that, it's not looking at its best, but I'd rather it wasn't there, but I'm stuck with it. And then round here we've got the other camellia that was buried in the bamboo. So if you can imagine, this bamboo was out here. There's some new growth pushing up at the base there. So this camellia was buried in the bamboo. I didn't know I had it. Now I do. And I've said that what needs to happen with this year is a lot of growth needs to be put on, and it's doing it. We've got lots of new growth pushing out, so I think by the end of this year we should have a nice looking bush, and then hopefully we'll get some so I'm just looking at this bamboo. I really wish it wasn't here nonetheless. And then we've got this palm thing, and I noticed this morning when I was setting up the bonsai on its staging, it's either in flower or it's going to come into flower soon. I don't remember seeing that last year, so that's new. As I said, I don't know what that's going to do. Is that going to grow up out the top of the plant and bloom, or is that it? I just don't know. So that's that. And then we've got some more ground cover plants that are pushing on nicely. The cuckoo flower that appeared from nowhere in this tub, whatever I planted in that tub is now growing, and I can't remember what it is. But these are a native wildflower. They are absolutely gorgeous, and butterflies like these, in particular orange tip butterflies, really like those. And have I had any in the garden this year yet? Not a light. I think I had one last year, and the first spring I was here there were several, and I thought, oh, that's good, but not since. Some more bonsai been repositioned over here. This, I believe, is a geum, and it is coming into bloom soon, so we will find out, because it was bright red when I bought it. And that doesn't look bright red, does it? Oh, the blue butterfly. Gone. So that's a geum, that's sedum, and a bee and butterfly magnet, deliberately purchased. And this is valerian, I believe. It would be so easily pulled out as a weed, but because I planted it, I know it's there. So I keep my eye on that. That's precious. It came from Carol, and it was the only one. And I thought it had died, but it seems to be picking up now. Nothing much going on up here. This bush in the corner here is going to be allowed to grow and fill that space up, hopefully as tall as the fence. Better than looking at a fence, shall we say. Then over here we got herbs and stuff. So we've got, this is rosemary, and you've only got to touch it and smell your hand, and it's really strong. And then in this tub near the front is two different sorts of lavender, one of which is coming into bloom. I think one of them's English and one of them's French, something like that anyway, but there's two different types, and you can see you know, the spikes are pushing on. This is some sort of herb. It probably says on the label what it is. It is lemon variegated thyme. Well, there you go. And then this is the perpetual wallflower, which we've already filmed some butterflies on this the other day when I was sitting relaxing, which I've got a garden that I can now do. That's what's left of the tree. I like it looking like that. A few odds and sods here. This is oh, I forgot what its proper name is, but it's not the wild version of yarrow, but whatever the tame version is. I know what I mean. This is my native orchid, southern marsh orchid, leopard variety, and that's a seedling. The main plants, of which I had 5 that bloomed regular each year, have died. So if that seedling survives next year, that can be potted on and grown on. And then tucked in this little area here are some newly planted ground cover plants. There's some more of the rose campion, some London pride, some ferns, some bugle, so various things. And then tucked up in there, mainly for next year, we've got bluebells, primroses, fritillaries and snowdrops. Obviously they just virtually disappear for the summer. They'll come out mid-winter into early spring. The bamboo up in the corner is pushing up a lot of new growth. That's good, because from the kitchen windowsill, if that bamboo grows another 2 foot taller, then I don't have to look at the shed, which would be good. The Himalayan honeysuckle is pushing on okay. Not quite sure why that's bent over. Hope it's not lack of water. Anyway, it's growing quite well. It's in a pot. It was in a broken pot. I've forgotten where it is now. Basically Hannah repotted it. She took it out of the broken pot and put it in that one that wasn't being used at the time. Then we've got this buddleia, which like the other one is pushing on really strong new growths, but no sign of the blooms yet. So there we go. Some bits of ground cover that have taken okay. Some more there. Yeah, and last but not least, this section down here, we've got the 2 lavenders that came from Carol, sort of greeting you as you come into this part of the garden from down here. And then all along here we've got some ground cover plants and primroses and primulas. So that's it really. That's what's going on. Oh, and the Acer, that'll be an Acer palmatum that was buried in the bamboo, has had everything cleared away to allow it to grow into a nice tree. It's even starting to get some layers. I could get up there with my secateurs and turn that into a giant bonsai. Acers just look good with layers, but I think it's doing it on its own without my help. So anyway, it's looking an awful lot better than it did when it was all tangled up with the bamboo and everything. So there we go. That's what's growing, that's what's doing okay, and that's what's to come. And as I say, the new bonsai staging has made it a bit different, and my view from the kitchen window is now changed dramatically. I've got the plants that are blooming in the in the planted border. I've got these herbs coming into bloom. I've got my couple of bonsai that I can see, and that lovely group of foxgloves in the corner there, and the robins having a sing. What more can you want? A bit of sunshine, although it's gone in now. Could do with some rain, but we might have to get the hose out first thing tomorrow. It is looking a bit dry around at the moment. We were supposed to have quite, some rain this morning, but it didn't really materialise. We had a few spots. That sort of rain that you'd have to run around. Welcome back. That doesn't happen often. The battery ran out. I didn't see the warning coming up, so sorry about that. Anyway, I've only really put another battery in just to say thanks for dropping by, and I hope you're enjoying this garden as much as I am, because there's an awful lot of work has gone into this. Not this year, but certainly last year and towards the end of the previous year. There was a massive amount of work went into reclaiming this garden. So now I don't know whether you can see that, but that's a hornet. Right. Oh, it's not. I thought it was going to land. So if it lands, I will try and zoom in on it. They are beautiful insects. Oh well. Maybe not. Oh, come on, land. Land where I can zoom in. It's just whizzing round at the moment. I don't know what it's looking for. No, I don't think it's gonna. Just keeps whizzing around. But I do get hornets in this garden occasionally, along with butterflies, dragonflies, damselflies, one of those two. So we do get visitors that are, you know, difficult to film a lot of the time, but I do try. And I will do my best to get as many of those as possible as the year progresses. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by.